Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Let's talk about something that for millions of us is the biggest bill we pay every single month, our rent. And lately, it just feels like it's spiraling, right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why your rent is so high, where this whole trend even started, and, what it all means for the average person's budget. So let's get into the numbers.
So let's start with a feeling I'm pretty sure a lot of you have had. You get that lease renewal notice in your email, you open it up, you see the new number, and your first thought is just, wait, how? How is this even possible? Well, it turns out that feeling is backed up by some pretty serious data. It's not just you. As of right now, the national average rent in the United States has hit a pretty staggering $1,732 a month. That's a figure that puts a major strain on household budgets pretty much everywhere. And to really put that number into perspective, just look at this chart. The bar on the left, that's the average rent right before the pandemic kicked off in 2019. And the bar on the right, well, that's today. You can see that's not some gentle little slope. It's a cliff, a really steep, sudden climb that's left a lot of people just scrambling. So how in the world did we get here? I mean, while that recent spike is super dramatic, this isn't exactly a new problem. This story really starts decades ago, with this slow, steady pressure that's been building on renters for generations. Now, the really important thing to get here is that all of these numbers are adjusted for inflation. So we're comparing apples to apples, right? Back in 1980, the average rent in today's money was about $955. Fast forward to the year 2000, and it had climbed past $1,200. By the start of 2020, it was almost $1,500. You can see that steady march upwards. But then, just look at that final leap to today. It's in a totally different league. And that final leap, that brings us to maybe the most chaotic period in recent memory for the rental market. We're talking about the post-pandemic spike. This is when that slow burn of rising costs just suddenly exploded into a wildfire. Get this. In just a few short years, since the beginning of 2020, the national median rent has shot up by 17.5%. I mean, to see that kind of an increase in such a short amount of time is, well, it's pretty much unheard of. And it's exactly why so many of us are feeling this squeeze more intensely than ever before. And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. See, this isn't happening in a vacuum. For decades, wages have basically been losing the race against housing costs. That slow motion problem just got a huge jolt of adrenaline, pushing what was already a difficult situation into a full-blown affordability crisis. But of course, that national average we keep talking about, it doesn't tell the whole story. Not even close. The rental crisis looks very different depending on what state you actually call home. So let's kind of dig into this map of disparity. Okay, so no huge surprises here on the list of states with the highest raw costs. We're talking about places with major cities and tons of demand. Just look at the numbers for Hawaii, California, Massachusetts. Their averages are pushing $3,000 a month. That just blows the national average out of the water. But the sticker price isn't the only thing that matters. This table is about something else entirely: speed. These are the states where rent is going up the fastest. They might not be the most expensive overall yet, but this is where renters are feeling the most sudden and frankly painful price shocks from one year to the next. And this comparison right here, wow, it really shows you the insane scale of the gap across the country. On one side, you've got Hawaii, where the average rent is almost $3,000. On the complete other end of the spectrum, you have West Virginia, where it's $900. That's a difference of nearly $2,000 every single month, based on nothing more than the state you happen to live in. You know, these numbers aren't just abstract data points on a screen. They represent the daily financial reality for millions and millions of American households. And for many of them, it means living right on the financial edge. And this is where the sheer scale of the problem becomes crystal clear. This chart shows that nearly half, look at that, almost 50% of all renters in the United States are what experts call cost burdened. Think about that. For every 2 renters you know, chances are one of them is in a really tough financial spot just because of what they pay for housing. So what does this cost burdened thing actually mean? Well, it's a formal definition that housing experts use. Basically, if you spend more than 30% of your income, that's before taxes, on your rent and utilities, you fall into this category. It's kind of the official line for when housing costs start to seriously mess with your ability to afford everything else you need in life. And the consequences are really severe. I mean, when over a third of your paycheck just disappears before you can even think about anything else, it forces these impossible choices. It means making tough calls about groceries, or putting off a doctor's visit, or hoping your car holds out a little longer. It makes saving for an emergency, let alone retirement or a down payment on a house, feel like a total fantasy. It's just a constant, crushing state of financial stress.
And that leaves us with this huge, lingering question. We've seen the data, we've traced the history, and we've talked about the human impact. So, as these prices keep climbing, what is it actually going to take to bring the rental market back into some kind of balance and make housing truly affordable for everyone again? There are definitely no easy answers, but understanding the massive scale of this problem is the first step. The next time you go to pay your rent, just think about the decades-long story behind that number and the fact that almost half of all the renters out there are in a financially tough spot because of it. What part of that story do you think really needs to change? If this explainer helped you understand a little bit more about the forces shaping our world, please do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. Thanks so much for watching.